Hello. Okay, good. Sorry, we're digging with the technology a little bit. So hello, everybody. Thank you for coming to the Tuesday night meditation. Before we enter our 30-minute stillness together, let us protect and surround ourselves with the love and the grace of God. Now, before we start our 30-minute stillness together, I would like to read a passage from the New Message. This is from the Greater Community Spirituality, chapter 25, What is Grace? Grace represents the evidence of the greater relationship that you have with the Creator. Grace is not your possession. You cannot use it, harness it, manipulate it, or direct it, for it represents a greater will and purpose in the universe. You possess a special kind of grace within you. This grace is called out of you in the presence of the grace that exists around you. It is called out of you to meet specific needs in the world, and it is called out of you to initiate, establish, and strengthen the important relationships that you will need to have in order to find your greater purpose and mission here. The grace within you is knowledge, the knowing mind, the mind that is a part of the mind of the Creator. The response to grace generates grace. It is not a source of grace. It is part of the mechanism of grace, which enables you to receive it, desire it, and welcome it into your life. You look for grace, you cannot find it. You open yourself to grace, and it appears. You claim grace for yourself, and it is nowhere to be found. You yield yourself to grace, and grace gently emerges. You speak the truth of what you really know, not the truth of what you want or believe, and grace is standing beside you. You reach out and genuinely touch another's heart, and grace envelopes both of you. You look at the events of your world with compassion and deep understanding, and grace looks with you. You respond to a greater need in another, and somehow grace speaks through you. It is neither within you nor beyond you exclusively. It is more that you are immersed in it, and at special moments, you are able to experience this immersion, this already existing union of life, with life, Grace does not come and go, except in your awareness. Grace is not here at the moment and then gone the next. Grace does not go around the universe visiting individuals here and there. Grace is present everywhere, at every moment. It seems to appear because there is an opening for it and a need for it. It comes because it is genuinely desired. It abides with you, and yet how seldom you experience its presence. Grace is with you, but it is in the background. It is in the background because it is giving you the freedom to find your way and to come to terms with your deeper inclinations and awareness in life. It is in the background, as if it were 20 feet behind you. It is not really 20 feet behind you, but this may be how you will experience it. It seems to come into your consciousness as you are available to it and as the situations that you are in call for it. Grace always emphasizes and validates your relationship with another and with the Creator. In fact, you may think of grace as the evidence of genuine and abiding relationship. When you experience this relationship with yourself, with another, or with the greater panorama of life, you will feel grace, a sense of wholeness, completeness, and inclusion, a sense of reunion and gratitude. These are all the evidence of grace, all the evidence that a greater and more permeating relationship is being recognized acknowledged, and experienced. Grace, then, is the evidence of God's presence in the world. However, even more important than this, it is the evidence of your intrinsic relationship with the Creator. Grace is the evidence of knowledge within you because you are able to receive it and respond to it. Eventually, as you become strong with knowledge, if you can follow the way to knowledge and take the steps to knowledge, then you will be able to actually dispense grace into the world, not as a conscious act, but as something that happens spontaneously. Here, grace will emerge from you because you will be a wellspring of grace in the world. No matter what your activity or specific endeavor in life, you will become a demonstration of the presence of grace. This will have a greater impact on those who can receive your gift and on those who can witness your acts. Grace ignites knowledge in others. It stimulates others at the deepest level of their being. It brings with it a memory and a confirmation, however long forgotten, that there is a greater purpose and meaning in life. It is part of the reality that you have brought with you from your ancient home. The evidence and the demonstration of grace call some people forward while others retreat and some others fight against their own experience. However, its power and efficacy cannot be denied. It has a potency in life that is unmatched by anything else. No one who feels it can be neutral regarding it, and everyone who witnesses it must respond. Now, please join me in a 30-minute stillness practice. Take as much time as you need to read your own step and then enter stillness when you're ready. Nasi Novare Quran. While we're in this place of stillness, I would like to share a closing passage from the Reformation. This is from the book, The Reformation. Is received January 18th, 2014 in Boulder, Colorado by Marshall. The Great Reformation must start with you and with others like you who are responding to God's new message for the world. For it alone brings the true clarity of what must be done. Speaking in simple terms, with great clarification and repetition, it brings to you and all others in all nations and tribes the great opportunity to restore the dignity and the power that is the birthright of each person. Only the will and power of heaven can do this. It is not built upon human ingenuity or cleverness. It even goes beyond the notion of inspiration, for it is indeed the will and the power of heaven speaking now to you directly, in the voice of revelation, preparing you to reform your life so that you may be of great service in the world, whose needs are escalating with each passing day. The need is so great. The urgency is building. You can feel it. It is your restlessness. It is that which calls you to a greater service. It is your impatience with little and foolish things. For your time is precious. Your decisions are consequential. And heaven is calling upon you now to leave aside foolish little things and little resentments and vain pursuits that only lead you astray and waste your great opportunity for being in the world at this time under these circumstances. To be called means to be prepared. To be prepared means a great reformation, not only in your outer life, but in your experience of your own nature and destiny, a great shift from living a life of fear and greed, ambition and constant aggravation to one of deeper purpose, altering your perception, the way you look at all things, the way you respond to difficulties and disappointment, the way you recognize errors and utilize them for your own wisdom and preparation. This is the perfect antidote to guilt and shame and endless regret. For only with this greater sense of purpose can you use the wasted years of your life and turn them into the makings of a greater wisdom and therefore a greater gift to others. The messenger is in the world. He who has spent 30 years receiving the largest and most complete revelation ever given to the human family. He is a humble man, a simple man, a man without pretense, a man without a lofty position in the world, a man who is strong, courageous, and ethical, but he is an older man now, and you should meet him if you can and hear his words, for part of the revelation is within him, that only he can pronounce, that only he can express, for his life in the world is part of the revelation. Do not then rail against the world. Do not complain endlessly. Do not shake your head and feel that everything is falling apart or going into disarray. You were not sent here to condemn the world or to be its critic. You were not sent here to complain endlessly about every little thing. You, whose life is working so magnificently in so many ways already, this complaining, this despair, this anguish, this anger, this resentment must be transformed into a greater sense of purpose and love for the people, courage, compassion, and patience. This is a reformation, you see. You cannot do this to yourself, for you need the power of knowledge. It will give you the strength, the direction, and the clarity to make the many decisions you must make that will enable you to turn a real corner in your life. This is how God rescued you from an empty and hopeless existence here. This is how God finds you like a speck on the ocean and brings you to the shore where your life is really meant to be expressed. The redemption happens from the inside out. The reformation happens from the inside out. The world is blessed as you are able to come to terms with your real nature and take stock of where you are now. For what you have to give to the world is more important than your wishes, your hopes, your prayers, your words. It is a demonstration of a greater life that is yours to claim and to prepare for. From this, the power of heaven can move through you to inspire others, to encourage others, to be an antidote and counterpoint to the growing despair, confusion, and rage that are now emerging amongst the peoples everywhere. Fear is growing in the world, for people everywhere are sensing that the future will be grave unless great things can happen, unless humanity's course can be altered, unless there are enough people who have undergone this preparation to overcome humanity's tendencies to fight and to struggle with itself. Here, you're not just seeking peace, for peace and change do not coexist at the same moment. For change is tumultuous, it is challenging, it is disturbing. It requires courage and true self-application. Peace is the result, but the process to achieve it is tumultuous. Therefore, do not demand or expect peace, but seek to be engaged in living the authentic life that you were sent here to live. This is the Reformation. It must happen within you and around you. It is not like you spend 20 years perfecting yourself and then you can do something for the world. For you do something for the world every time you recognize and follow knowledge. You strengthen the power of knowledge in the world, and your actions and your self-expression will bless and harmonize other people who find only grief, anxiety, and strain from the world around them. God is sending you up this mountain so that you may speak to the world, that you may touch the minds and hearts of others in such a way that the Reformation can begin within them. This will happen through you naturally, without you having to create a scheme or a practice or a process. For God has provided the pathway through the steps to knowledge and the great teaching in Reformation that is at the heart of God's new gift to humanity. Great change must be brought about through the efforts of many people. A great compassion must drive their efforts, a greater purpose, a great power, a great determination, freeing them from all that held them back before, freeing them from addiction and despair, confusion and misappropriation of their life and their precious time here on earth. They have been redeemed through the Reformation. They are now working in concert with heaven. Here, they are not giving their lives to God, but allowing God to guide them through the power and presence of knowledge, a power and presence that exists beyond the realm of the intellect and beyond all human understanding. Here, your intellect must serve and not try to be a master, for you can never be the master. This is the Reformation that has the greatest power. Think of the Reformation that spoke to Jesus, the Buddha, and the Muhammad, and many other great teachers, and how that has lifted humanity and protected it from total disaster through the course of history. Though religion has been gravely misused and abused, the spirit of the Reformation has been kept alive. That is why the human family has promised, in a universe where knowledge is rare, in a universe where freedom is rare, in a universe where humanity, if it can undergo this great preparation for the new world, has a greater gift to give to many races who live in total bondage. You know not of the importance of your life in these times. The times are perfect to call forth from you your greater gift. Do not condemn them. The situation is perfect. It is why you have come. You did not come here to lie on the beach endlessly and seek pleasure and escape. You came for this greater purpose, this greater rendering of your life. You came for the Reformation. Everyone has come for the Reformation. May the power of this begin to show you that you were meant for a greater life and that you cannot create this for yourself. It is not a product of your ingenuity or cleverness. It is something that must naturally emerge within you and will emerge within you as you take the steps to knowledge, as you are able to see God's great gift to humanity, the great clarification that He brings, the great unity that He calls for, and the great challenges that He reveals now for the very first time. Now let us spend a few moments to be with Marshall and send him our love and strength. Now see if there are others in the world or in your life who need to receive this strength as well. And if so, spend a moment sending strength or love or another quality to these individuals. Nasi Nobari Karam. Thank you everyone for coming, and I send you many blessings.